and that you want to, like, it sounds like you just want a father that you can fuck. And that immediately made me jump,
Daddy.
think to all the times I've heard women say, I'm not trying to be nobody's mama. And then, so I was like, what about a mother's role and what she provides for her son that you disagree with, that is, she does too much. That's something that you aren't willing to do. Mm-hmm. And then that jumped me as like, then what are the roles that fathers are expected to provide for their children, and also, you know, like their daughters, like they're supposed to be the provider, they're supposed to protect them, supposed to bring them right. And I was like, that sounds like what a lot of women want from their men, but I've never heard a man say, I'm not trying to be nobody's father.
Thought I was feeling you. He's a eater, he eats it for lunch.
Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Brandan, joined once again by the spectacular, sextacular, I don't know, throw that in there, partner and co-host.
Hey, y'all, it's Ciandra.
Welcome to another episode of the Buffet Podcast, where we continue to give you that endless food for thought.
Big thought.
All right, babe. So this is episode 76. Mm-hmm. And for our returning listeners, as well as our new listeners or viewers or whatever it may be, go ahead and hit that like, you know, hit that subscribe. Just go ahead, just hit that right now. You feel me? Just go ahead and do that real quick for us. It really helps us out. You know what I'm saying? We're trying to get these numbers up. Now, with that business being taken care of, let's get into it.
Yeah.
First topic is amuse bouche.
First play.
First play.
Don't be late.
All right. Here we go. Get into it. There we go.
You ready?
Yeah.
She said 50-50 is a roommate. Look, I get it. A lot of men, including myself, would prefer that their partner don't have to pay for shit. But if you are feeling entitled to not have to pay shit, that means you want a father that can fuck you. Like, what are you talking about 50-50 is a roommate? You're a roommate regardless if you pay or not. That's somebody you live with in a room. That's your mate. Roommate. What the fuck is this bitch talking about? You're like, oh my god. Jesus Christ, yo. Go fuck your dad. Christ, bro.
Damn,
She said 50.
Got spicy right there.
It did.
It's
It's
spicy. Where is that from?
funny. It's
It is
from
funny.
Instagram. Actually, the original creators are on TikTok. So the video that I saw was a repost on Instagram, but the creators are on TikTok.
Oh, okay. It was
Hey
just
Saf, hey_Saf, and Mr. Blang 12 _entertainment.
so it was just like a skit, or was it like
No.
a clip of a podcast of their own, like? Kind
No, it was one of those responses. If someone like replies to your story with a comment and they said,
Got you.
Their comment said 50-50 is a roommate, and then they were responding to that.
Okay. Hell of a response.
It is. A father figure. That's what she's looking for. That's what he said.
I don't think we're ready for that. To have that conversation.
So my immediate thoughts about it are, one, that it is funny. I do think that it's humorous.
It's pretty funny.
I do think that his take on whether or not you pay, you're still a roommate, is pretty accurate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're cohabitating, we're sharing space together. The only place where I disagree is that, well, I don't know. The only place that I disagree in terms of like calling the woman who believes that entitled is that more often than not, we are taught that men should be protectors and providers. And a part of your providing, a part of the provisions is procuring a place for us to be able to live. Mm-hmm. That's like on the hierarchy of needs. We all got to have some place to stay. Mm-hmm. Now, your ability to be able to provide that, or what percentage of that you're able to provide, I do think should be in excess to the woman, unless you're in a situation where the woman is making more and she's comfortable taking care of you. But that is very rare. More often than not, women still want to feel like, because you are the protector and the provider, your provision should be more than mine. I can contribute, but your provision should be more than mine.
Yeah. And we all agree that that's what is the expectation for men and has traditionally been, and probably low-key still is now, irregardless of the fiscal feasibility of it in these times, being that, like, you can't, hold down a whole family with a single income. That's just not probable. There we go. I'm not gonna say it's not possible. It's just highly improbable these days. Even if you make even if you make 100,000, that's not enough to really hold down a whole family. Like, you can do it and you'll be surviving, but like you won't be able to like live the life of like being able to go on like a vacation every once in a while, being able to get everything, stuff, things of that nature. So if you live a very frugal life, 100,000, you can take care of a family, depending on where you live. Depending on where you live, there's about 5, 6, 7, 8 places in the country. It's probably not a no-go for you in the whole state of California as well. That being said, I guess the part, like, so I don't disagree with you about, as a man, that has been the expectation, and that is the expectation. And as if men are going to be, continue to hold themselves up as being like the provider and the protector, that is part of the provision aspect of it. But I can't discount his point about, like, it sounds like you want a father, because if you think about it, it is a role that a father would like put in place. So what jumped out to me here was that he made that comparison that it sounds like you just want a father that you can fuck, and that immediately made me jump. Daddy. think to all the times I've heard women say, I'm not trying to be nobody's mama. And then so I was like, what about a mother's role and what she provides for her son that you disagree with, that is, she does too much, that's something that you are unwilling to do. And then that jumped me, was like, then what are the roles that fathers are expected to provide for their children, and also, like their daughters, like they're supposed to be the provider, they're supposed to protect them, supposed to bring them right. And I was like, that sounds like what a lot of women want from their men, but I've never heard a man say, I'm not trying to be nobody's father. So like every time a woman says, I need my man to provide, I want them to be able to, pay most and or all of the bills. I want them to do X, Y, and Z. I was like, I haven't heard any guy say, well, I'm not trying to be your father.
I ain't your daddy.
I'm not your daddy. Like, what you talking about? Like, I'm not trying to provide that. I'm not your father. So why are you looking to me to provide a service that your fathers provide? So that's the only thing that John was like, what? I was like, technically, that's something we never really talk about. We talk about all up and down how, women don't want to be nobody's mama, but we never talk about how men want to be women's fathers, even though that is what they're requesting of men, low key.
Sometimes
with the sex, and it's to the point that they even call their man daddy. Yeah. So it's like, why has this never been like addressed? Why has no one ever like talked about that little inconsistency? Like, women want their men to low key be their father, but they're also seeming to be unwilling to be the mother of their man. But at the same time, I'm wondering what about the mother's role makes them something. But that's a separate conversation, or a later conversation, or whatever it may be. But as to this, I both agree and disagree.
I agree. Yeah. I feel the same way. I think that there are definitely parts of it that I agree with and understand the logic behind. And to pick up on your point, I've never heard that particular take of like, you don't want to be a mom to me, but you want me to be a dad to you in terms of like what you're expecting for me to provide. I think that's interesting. I guess my immediate thought process behind it is like power and control stuff. Like being a dad and being the person in the position to protect and provide does lend itself to some power and control, as to where being a mom and being a person who nurtures and takes care of seems like a more service-based role, right? Like it sounds, I would assume, or at least the way that I'm thinking about it right now is if I'm taking care of you, then like there's a pat on the back or something for me. There's some type of, I don't know, extra little boost for me in taking care of you in terms of financially taking care of you. The flex for, at least in our society now, the flex of taking care of a man is not celebrated anywhere outside of that man's house. Like, if I, as a woman, I'm like, oh yeah, I cook and clean for my man, like I bring him food. No, right now in modern society, other women are not going to be like, yeah, girl, that's what you should be doing. Look at you. That's not celebrated. No other woman is going to be like, oh yeah, like she doing what she's supposed to do. Maybe other men will champion it, but like no other woman is going to champion it. And I think that we're in a space where the cultural cachet is more important than like,
we're doing things for the look.
I think so.
I agree with you on that point, because I was like, that sounds like a woman's problem. Like that the things that most men seem to value are not being celebrated amongst women, but men will. Like men will look at a woman who's doing that and be like, oh, okay, I see you doing your thing. I'm not gonna say no man. A lot of men that will see a situation where the man is providing and a woman is providing more of a traditional wifely role in the sense of taking care of the household and stuff like that. No one's looking at that woman's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, you're setting women back 1,000 years by doing that. Like, don't you have like goals and dreams and aspirations?
Well, I guess what I'm thinking is, because the playing field is the way that it is, like, women still are in a space where they want to be congratulated for the work that they're doing outside of the household, right? So this deal that I got, this money that I'm making, all of those things earn me that cultural cachet, that applause. And yes, I could be doing things in the household, but that's not the thing that I'm going to put out to the world on social media to be celebrated for. It's this award that I just got, or this deal that I just got, this promotion that I just got at work. Those are the things that are going to be celebrated when I post them. Me cooking dinner for you every night is not, no one ever is going to be like, oh my gosh, like, yes, queen.
Again, I think this goes back to the fact that women aren't celebrating this type of stuff. Just like a man who's being seen, who's taking care of the family, they get celebrated. Man, ain't no man looking at you like, why the fuck are you subscribing to traditional gender roles and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but babe, I think that's more rare. I think that it is not, we're not in a space right now where it is a norm for people to have happy, healthy relationships and the man to be a protector and provider in that relationship, which is why men are celebrated when they do that.
So you're saying man, it's not normal in today's
It's
generation.
not the overwhelming norm, no. For people to be in happy, healthy relationships.
That part, I agree with you on that part.
In happy, healthy relationships where the man is a protector and a provider. So when you see those relationships, yes, the woman is celebrated for having a man. Like, yes, you got the man, sis, but the man is celebrated even more for doing all of those things that contribute to that happy, healthy relationship.
But then why? And then if it's so rare, then why aren't people celebrating the woman for like being able to fall in within her femininity, because the man is able to do those things?
Because that woman is typically all encompassing. She still has a brand deal or is still doing some type of work outside the home that is earning her the cultural cachet. And
also, and to that point, who is giving the accolades for the woman, like getting this award or, you know, getting this sale, or, you know, like, where is that coming from? Because I don't know. I feel like that's also something that women aren't really celebrating either. So it doesn't feel...
No, that's not true. When we've talked about Beyonce before, I'm like, yeah, that's why we love Beyonce, because Beyonce has it all. She got her man, she got them kids, and she's killing it out in the world.
That's fair. I give you that one.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure Beyonce, well, I'm not sure. Beyonce could be cooking dinner every night at home.
I highly doubt that.
And could be top tier cook. Like, her meals could be thebomb.com. That is not the thing that is ever going to be promoted on the news. We're never going to see that anywhere outside of her, like, Instagram story. It ain't going to make it onto her main page. And no one, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no cultural cachet for it because it doesn't get the look. It isn't celebrated. I just don't think that it travels as far as the success that you have outside of the household. And I also think that that is the expectation, right? That, like, I don't know. A part of me feels like it's just the expectation. That's just the norm. That's what, when you sign up to be, how do I want to say? For me, when I signed up to be in a relationship, I expected there to be reciprocity in the amount of care, taking, nurturing from me to you and from you to me. And one of the ways that I feel responsible for taking care of you is making sure that you eat, like making sure that you have a meal to come home to, that you have something to eat. That's important to me. I know that that is not true for every woman, but because that is the lens that I'm looking through, I'm like, why am I going to celebrate this girl from cooking? That's what we supposed to do. I know that that's not the norm. I know that that's not the norm out for every woman, but I think for me and for women who maybe have that same experience of like this being a norm, this is what you do for a man that you care about. You want him to eat. You take care of him. You take care of the groceries. You make sure that there's food in the house. Like, you do those things as a part of managing a household. It's not something worthy of celebration or applause because it's just what everyone does. It's the same way, like, I'm not gonna clap for Beyonce because you take the shit. Like, so do I. Like, it's not that exciting because that's what we all do.
Okay, I hear where you're coming from. What I'm saying? Yeah, I get that. So I guess, but by that definition, that would mean that like men shouldn't be celebrated for taking care of family because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
I would agree with you, but that part isn't normative of my experience and isn't normative of the experience of the general public.
That's also true.
Which is why I feel like it's more celebrated when a man, like if we think about independent women or like people who come from single mother households where their mom had to do everything, right? She was protector and provider as much as she could. She was also the homemaker as much as she could and the nurturer and taking care of the kids. When one person has to do all of those things, it's harder to kind of, I guess a part of me is like, it's harder to kind of decipher where your role is in that as a woman when you're deciding to be in a relationship with another person. And in looking from the outside in on someone else's relationship, and you've been, again, told that men should be protectors and providers, when you see a man doing that, when you grew up with the absence of a man, that is something worthy of celebration. Because it took a man for you to get here. Your mama didn't get pregnant by herself. Like, you know that there was a man who should have been... She had sex with someone.
Not these new... Not right now. There's women out here...
Yes, not these new women. But why are they doing that? Because they came from a single parent household where they saw someone doing everything.
No, it ain't
and
that.
They thought, okay, well...
it's a part of it. I give you that. That's part of it. But continue. That's part of it. I think there's another reason.
I mean, there is another reason. But the main reason, I think, is because they came from a space where they were like, oh, well, if this woman in my life could do it, my grandmother, my mama, my aunties did it, why am I not strong enough to be able to do it on my own as well?
There we go. That's that word. Strong enough.
But yeah, that's where I think that it comes from. To your point about another reason why women are opting into having kids by themselves, like choosing single motherhood, I think that some of those people just don't want to do the work to be in a happy, healthy relationship.
They absolutely don't.
It's like, I don't want the drama of a man, but I want a kid. I don't want like not having a relationship to decide whether or not I can have a kid. I've always wanted a kid, or I've always wanted a family. If I can't get a man, at least let me have a kid. Here's the problem. As a reformed person who used to believe that was the case, what you do in that situation is place the responsibility for your happiness. What you can do, let me not say what always happens, but what you can do is place the responsibility for your happiness, your long-term well-being, and your emotional needs on that child, and in a way that is not going to be reciprocal. You're going to do a lot of pouring into this kid. This kid is not going to be able to give you nothing back, for real. I mean, it's going to smile at you. It's going to do the best that it can as a kid. It's going to do
what babies do, what kids do.
But like, that's a lot of responsibility to put on this one person to bring you fulfillment and joy. And again, it is not going to be a reciprocal relationship because they are a kid. They don't have...
You're not going to get what you think the kid is going to be able to replace that's missing from not... or bypassing having a man.
Yeah. And you're thinking that it's going to be a perfect relationship because you get to raise this kid in your image and get to, like, you know, kind of curtail things and set up a situation where your emotional needs can be cared for because you teach this kid how to treat you. Rada. Guess what else happens? they grow up and they become independent and they have their own thoughts. And if your point of view is no longer aligned, they can very easily decide, I don't fuck with you like that, mama. Yeah. Bye.
And then or if they do fuck with you, he still gotta grow up and, you know, have his own family, and he gotta pour into that family, and you ain't gonna get that time. And now, where you at?
Yeah. Back on the streets alone. And the streets at 30 versus the streets at 60, they ain't the same, sis. So don't do it. Don't do it.
They're not streets, they're dirt roads. No, they're not streets no more.
When you're old, they're not going to become dirt roads.
They're not streets no more. The cobbled joints.
Oh, my Lanta. The graveyard.
All right now. So another point I guess I wanted to make is I wonder, in the sense of like the chicken or the egg argument, it's the domestic duties, I guess, of a wife or
duties
are not being very, I guess, advertised as like a good thing. Is that more because we're not seeing it? Now, you feel me? Like, is it because we're not seeing it that it's not being advertised, and then because it's not being advertised, we place lower value on it? So I'm wondering, like, the reason that we were able to rah and be like, yeah, you're doing a good job as a man for taking care of the family, is because people are showing it. People are places you can see that. So it's like, so the argument could be made that if people would see more of like women doing the, you know, being at home, or, you know, taking care of the kids, cooking the meals and stuff like that, you see more and more of that will then become like something that people will talk about and see as more normative.
A part of me feels like
Beyonce started posting about how she cooked this meal for Jay-Z.
We all started.
Well, there's going to be people like, oh, you ain't got time. Why are you cooking for him? There's going to be some people, but because there's people, most Beehive fuck with everything she do. Everything she do. She can drop a picture of a pinky toe. Nigga, that's the best pinky toe on earth. So if she drop a picture about some food and how she's talking about how she cooked for the family, people gonna be like, I bet that meal was busting. I bet that meal was fire. And of course, she can do all these things. Of course, the baddest chick. Of course, she still do these things. That makes sense. And then from there, it'll trigger down. But she don't do that. So it's not. It must not mean it's important.
I don't know if I agree with that, because as you were speaking, I was thinking about, okay, like, where else in culture do we take our cues from? And one of the places that we have consistently taken our cues from is TV, right? TV and movies. And we think back to the Cosby Show, the Huxtables. Claire was out. She was a lawyer. She had an important job. She had things to do outside of the home. And that added value to what she was doing in the home as a homemaker, because it was like, damn, you do, like, to me, the ideal woman is the woman who has it all. Even though having it all is a lie. I've come to realize it is a lie, because it's just impossible to balance all of those things and meet all of the demands in all of those different areas. And it is a challenge. And it is something that you have to kind of consistently navigate and manage. But nonetheless, that I feel like is the ideal for most of us. And because that is the ideal, the homemaking part of it doesn't need to be exposed or expressed, because that is the thing that we are expected to do. But I guess to your point of like the women who are not expressing that value, or not kind of, I think that those women probably think that the value that they bring to the relationship is something else. They might think the value that they bring to the relationship is the money. Like, I got my own. I'm independent. That means that you should choose me because I can do for myself.
Did you just listen to what you just said?
I recognize what I just said and how it sounds stupid. If you can do for yourself, why do you need me here? What is the value that I'm going to be able to add to your life? If you're saying that you can do for yourself, and you're saying that you're not willing to take care of me in any way, you want me to be independent and you to be independent in the same house? We should be at the point when we come together. We at some point have to become interdependent. At some point, you have to be able to depend on me for something, and I have to be able to depend on you for something. And if the thing that you are anticipating being able to depend on me for is something that is a compliment to you right? Because you aren't naturally a homemaker. You want me to be a homemaker to be able to add that to your life. Because you aren't naturally a cook. You want me to be a cook to be able to add that to your life. If I say my strengths are the same strengths as yours, just come over here with me and I'm a help you get strong in the thing that you're already strong in. It doesn't sound like a pleasant deal for anyone.
It does. How I'm thinking of like, me as a man, I'm sitting in the interview as a business owner trying to hire for a position. Say, hey, I'm part of company Brandan Vasquez. This company has been established, since 88. You know what I'm saying? We've reached a profitability margin where I'm in a position where I can be able to provide for an employee, but I have some duties that I can't really focus on because I'm focused on doing these things here. I need this, and that. I'm hoping that you may be able to be a good fit for this position. Then the person sits down across from me and says, well, okay, these are my strengths. I also have the same amount of money that you have. I also do the same things that you do. I also need someone to do the same exact things that you need to do. So I want to work for that. I want your position that you're hiring for, but I also want you to pay me for doing that job, but I don't want to do the job.
Yes, it sounds crazy. It's like applying to be a CEO, but talking to the CEO. It's like, hey, I want your job. Actually. Okay, yeah, that sounds crazy. But.
And then, my fault. Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off.
My only but, and I know you're going to be like, so exceptions exist. There's exceptions to the rule. Yeah. It's just about finding the person who is going to compliment you. So that's why I feel like these women, it's not that they shouldn't exist or that they aren't deserving of love. It's just that what they have decided is the standard of who is worthy for them and who they should be in love with is based on things outside of what they actually need. Mm-hmm. That's why I feel like that's where I feel like gender roles get us fucked up, because if you've only been sold and have come to expect that the person that you should be with is a man who can protect and provide for you, and you make a certain amount of money and you think protect and provide only equates to this amount of money because now you make it, or it only means that the man has to be doing better than you in order for him to be able to protect and provide for you, you cancel out a whole group of people who could be more well suited to be your mate because they don't meet this caliber. And then what happens to you? Then you're mad, or you have a baby by yourself, or you get a dog and die alone. Yeah. And that makes me so sad for y'all.
There we go.
This is all we're trying to say. That's all we're trying to say. It makes me so sad for y'all.
I feel like the prevailing. I feel like while a lot of stuff on YouTube and stuff like that, it has like men talking about how these minor women ain't shit. There's a lot of it feels like there's a lot of hurt there, and they're like you don't really like women. I get that there's some parts of that that exists, mm-hmm. But I also think that like the general consensus amongst the totality of it that's trying to communicate to women is that like we don't mind that you out here trying to get your bag and trying to get these things. We're just trying to point out to you the logical consequence mm-hmm. of doing that and what it would mean for your prospects and like in relationships. And I'm not saying that it's lower just because you are a woman. I'm saying it is lower just as because what you have. If a man was top flight tier and it was like, I'm only fucking with women who make at least the same amount as me or more, he's not fucking with a lot of women. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's true for us. It's true for you. We just want you to be able to recognize that, but it doesn't seem like that's true. But it's like they're complaining, but it's like the reason that this is because this is what's happening. And that part I feel like it's not being, I guess, really understood or taken in. I guess mostly because of the messaging or how it's been messaged by some people. But yeah, but anyway, that was kind of an aside. Another point I wanted to make about the power, or not power, the feeling of like wanting the man to have like power or control over them, mm-hmm. in the sense of why one of the reasons why women are hesitant to fall into that agreeable, like man provides and protects and you stay at home and can manage that traditional role. And also the feeling like women contribute a significant amount more in a relationship if all things are equal. So like I'm working, you working, we're making around the same. The expectation that low key the woman is still like cooking more, taking care of the household duties more, feels and that like it's unequal. And I was thinking about that. I was like, okay, on the surface of it, it does seem like that. Like, seems like because you're doing more active things on the day to day. But then I thought about, okay, so men are expected to be the provider and protector, but we place so much emphasis on the providing part, aka the money. We don't really think about or talk about the protection, like what does that look like? And when we think about protection, we think about the burglar busting into the door, or we hear a weird noise, and then the man is expected to kind of go down and figure out what it is and get murdered first. So, but and that is true, but those are also not everyday situations. We don't think about like the protection that men provide just by being there with you when you're walking down the street. Just my presence here alone, the amount of fuckery that you don't have to encounter just because I'm just there. They don't think about in case of war. I mean, so we haven't had a real war in a long time, and the odds of us being drafted is like significantly lower as it was back in the day. But we're thinking about like a Titanic situation, women and children, like, you know, I don't want to fuck me. I don't want to live. So it's just like, we don't think about what protection looks like in totality from the man or what that looks like on a day to day for women. Cause it's kind of invisible. You don't really see it. It doesn't feel it doesn't, cause you get it just off of the strength of us that's being there.
Yeah. Okay. So, one, I think that you continue to point out extremes. Titanic is an extreme.
Yeah, it is an extreme.
But I do think, to your point about the protection,
hostage situations.
Boy, I do think, to your point about the protection isn't only physical protection.
True.
A part of the protection to me is the protection and the covering of like my feelings, like being a sense of security for me, being a center, like a stable point for me if I am feeling emotional, if I am having a reaction to something. And you're right, that is invisible, but it is still labor, and it is still something that counts, that is not like that is not often accounted for or appreciated. But to the same point, that's why I'm saying, like, these relationships are supposed to be reciprocal. We're supposed to be interdependent. You're supposed to get something from me, and I'm supposed to get something from you. Where I think people are upset, especially to the point that you were just making about, like, if we're equally contributing to the space in terms of finances, I got a job, you got a job, we both work X amount of hours, and we both get home at the same time. And it feels like I'm taking on a second shift by coming home and cooking and cleaning and doing all these other things and like adding additional hours to my day of labor. If after all of that, the protection from you doesn't come, the protection doesn't come in when you notice that I'm tired or I'm getting frustrated or it's too much for me to be able to do all these things. So you protect me by bringing and taking. You can't cook, but you can bring and take in a couple of times a week. Or you protect me by, all right, I'm going to take the kids out to the park, let you have a glass of wine, cook dinner. We're going to come back. We can all have dinner together, but I'm going to give you this little bit of break. If there is no reciprocity there, if I'm just doing shit and you just sitting there watching me do shit and watching me get stressed out, that's where I feel like the negative feedback comes in.
I like that. That's a bar. I feel that and I can't disagree with that, not even a little bit. Like, I have nothing to say against that, and because I agree with it in totality. Like, you raise a good point that outside of like those Titanic situations, hostage situations, the physical protection, it comes with the emotional stability, because that should be an expectation of men. Like, men have their emotions and stuff like that, but in general, on a day to day, your emotions should be, you know, relatively even keel, almost to the boring side, and that helps with women because generally they're not. So you help provide that stable presence, you know, something like, you know, pat on the back, everything's gonna be okay, you know, that feeling of security that, like, it looks like somebody looks secure in what's going on right now. And as a man, if you can't see that your woman is distressed or feeling overwhelmed because of these duties of the day, and you don't take appropriate steps to protect her from it, and when it's appropriate, I feel like, man, you're doing a disservice to yourself and to your woman and to the family by not doing that. And in that sense, I agree. I would be mad as fuck too if that was true. So I hear you. That's real.
Thank you, babe. I think that's where women are coming from, especially women who have, again, either grown up in a household where there was a single mother, or a single mother by default because the father wasn't providing that sort of protection to the mom. It's like, well, I'm not going to find myself in that exact same situation. So the best way for me to like correct this is to overcorrect this and just not do that shit anymore. Just like not offer that as a service because I could end up in a situation where this service is going to be provided and I'm not going to get any help back, or not going to get any protection back, or anything that feels reciprocal in that situation. Because I don't necessarily feel like when we think about solutions, I don't think the solution is like we share responsibility of cooking and cleaning for everyone. That's not everyone's solution. But I do think it is like we figure out a way that 100% if 100% of the responsibility of this homemaking is my task, we share responsibility in something else, or you take 100% of responsibility of some other area, which is why I feel like women are like, pay all these damn bills. If we gonna both be working and I'm gonna come home and work again to clean all this stuff, you got to pay the bill.
And you're not gonna like supplement that. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that.
You're gonna have to do something big.
That's
buddy.
real. But I would, the only pushback I give to that statement is like, is that what's being argued for? Like how you articulate it, it makes 100% sense. But is that what's being argued for in general?
I don't know if that's true for everyone.
Yeah,
I think some people do feel entitled. I do think that we are in a space where some people feel like I have a vagina, pay for my lifestyle.
And that's that's a hella entitled.
That's a hot take.
That's a hot take. It's not even rare.
Yeah.
It's more vagina than it is penis out here.
Wow. You're not a flawless uncut diamond. You just.
But perfect example, diamonds are not rare. Yeah. They're everywhere. It has been, but De Beers got an artificial monopoly on it, and there's not even an artificial monopoly on vagina to help make that make sense.
Yeah. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think because the man hasn't been in the home, at least in the black families in the last 50 years or so, give or take. It's one of those. It's become one of those unknown unknowns. We don't know that this is available. That's there, so we don't know to value it. And if we see it, we don't recognize it for what it is. So like that kind of goes into what I've heard about, like how women complain that men are boring, and sort of because this whole toxic culture, it's like wanting to have some kind of toxicity because it brings excitement, in some way, and I feel like a lot of the guys who have those qualities that has the protection of like the emotions and the things like that, those guys are probably generally dubbed as boring.
I can see that. I think
so. Like, it's not that they don't exist. It's just like those guys have generally been relegated to that friend, because like that friend, what does that relationship look like with your friend? It's very great. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, of
like
course.
He listens to you. He's
exactly.
there. He's that person of stability that you can come to. But that's not husband right there. So for some reason.
I think that's true. I think there are people who feel that way, who don't see the value there. But I think there's a whole bunch of things when it comes to like attraction and what we classify as important for us to be attracted and desired, and what attributes the person that we desire has to have. Right? Like, even if it is, again, the thing that is a compliment to my weaknesses will add something to my life, and the quality of my life will improve as a result of having this person in it. That might not be the thing that I'm looking for or attracted to or value the most when I'm in the marketplace and dating people. I'm looking for things that have cultural cachet, or I'm looking for protector and provider because that is what is generally accepted as the expectation that you should have of a male partner. Like, I think about that video that we watched where every girl was like, this is on a college campus. She asked some young women, like, how much money does your partner need to make? Did we talk about this in the last one?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. How much money does your future husband need to make? And it was like, to marry? And they were like, yeah, to marry. And they were like, 100K.
No, that was the low end.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll be okay with 100K.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of like at least 500K, 300K,
yeah.
750. I think millions because I'm an expensive. I'm like,
yeah,
bitch, you are a junior, like a sophomore in college. Where like a meal plan.
Only have $20 in your
you're a busted wide for a meal plan. Stop playing with me right now.
Yeah.
But I think, but to continue on what you were saying about, you know, we are attracted to things that give us cultural and social cachet. Things that give cultural that are like popping socially and culturally, those things change all the time.
They do.
So like the question becomes like, how can we make it sexy? How can we make that what's popping out here? Because what's popping out here is being toxic and BBLs and being just like not in a healthy. It's not conducive to a healthy relationship. Like, we are being bombarded with Real Housewives who aren't even fucking wives.
Yeah. I think that we change it the more that we talk about it, and we talk about how it is not fruitful for people. It's not giving people the results that they want. We
need Beyonce to start posting them pictures of the meals.
No, that is not the solution. But I do think that what we're going to see happen, especially with this generation of young adults, is they're going to hit a brick wall.
Yeah.
They're going to reach a place where they're like, I am unhappy with what is. I'm unhappy with the landscape of my love life. I'm unhappy with the decisions that I made up until this point that have gotten me here. And now I'm choosing to be happy. And in choosing to be happy, I'm not going to value this anymore. Or in choosing to be happy, I'm going to choose something else for myself. And I think that that's just what's going to have to happen with this particular generation. And then it takes for those people to nurture their kids in a way that encourages them to make different choices from them. It takes for those people to proclaim that the decisions that they made in their youth were bad decisions and didn't lead them to what they were hoping for. I think it takes those kind of things for us to be able to see a change. Because I don't think...
go ahead.
I don't think that... I think that everyone thinks that they have time. I think that 20-year-olds think that they have time. I think people in their 30s feel like they have time. People in their 40s sometimes still feel like they have time. They feel like they have time to be able to find love. Because you go on social media, you see 60-year-olds getting married. You see 50-year-old woman pregnant. You think that you have all of this time to be able to experience the things that your heart desires. And so what you do right now doesn't matter because I'll worry about that when I get there. For men and for women. Yeah, this is not just for women. For men and for women, I'll be able to think about that when I get there. They have to get there and hit a brick wall.
It's called the wall.
Fuck around
and they find out.
And then they're going to make some decisions about what they're going to do differently to spend the rest of their life in the way that they want to. Because I don't think that people are without the desire to be in relationship. No, I don't think people are without the desire to have happy, healthy love in their life. Because again, it's human. We want to be connected. And your friend and these toys are not going to be enough forever. You're going to want human touch. You're going to want the opportunity to have a conversation with someone and to feel known and seen by someone who you're attracted to. And they're just going to have to fuck around and find out. That's how it changed.
Yeah. I've been like low-key marinating it in the back of my mind. I feel like over the week and stuff like that, just of like different pieces of content that I've been watching and just kind of putting together a picture of like what is it going to take for, you know, this shit, the shifts, you know, to go. I kind of think right now we're in that overcorrective phase from like feminism, from like women can't do shit to like women like overcorrecting and being like, hey, I'm trying to not have anything associated with this thing because we have no choice. I want to get maximum freedom. I want maximum choice. I'm going to do everything. But I'm thinking we're reaching a relationship Darwin moment where it's like, you're either going to figure this shit out or you're going to get weeded out. Like you're not going to you're not going to find somebody, you're not going to reproduce, and then the people who do are going to learn what worked and continue that on. It's kind of, it's kind of like the physical aspects of evolution. Like the shit gives you an advantage, whatever gives you an advantage in like the field, it's going to be the one who's going more likely to reproduce, and which means you're going to pass on that gene that made you better, stuff like that. I think we're reaching that kind of point right now when it comes to like relationships and things like that. Like it's the mentality part of it. Like people just don't have the right mentality, and it can be because what you were raised, or what how you were raised and what you experienced and stuff like that, and that's unfortunate. But like nature don't give a fuck about none of that. Like you either get it right or you die. And I think we're going to get to the point today. It's going to take a lot of men and women to recognize that, okay, I contribute to this, or maybe my parents contributed to my shit, but then I contributed by like not fixing the problem. And then hopefully some of those people will be willing to be accountable and talk about those things if they happen to have kids, and be like, yo, like these are the mistakes I made. Like I'm letting you know, hopefully, don't do that. Or if I see my kid going down the route that was like, I don't think you want to do that. You might want to X, Y, and Z, because these are the possible repercussions. We're going to need more of that, as well as just children seeing how their parents were and seeing how, to the example, I saw my mom have to do everything. And then instead of thinking like, okay, well, she was able to do everything, how can I, like, I'm strong enough to be able to do everything too. How about you look at it and be like, I saw my mom doing that and I saw how unhappy she was. I don't want that. How can I not do that? How can I not be as unhappy having to do everything, having the pressure of having to do everything on you? Because if you have to do everything alone, it's no way you can be happy. It fucking sucks. You have the responsibility of everything. You ain't got no time to be fucking around. Like when you're angry, minor shit becomes big shit. So like the regular annoyances of dating and messing with like fuckery from men and women, usually, you know what I'm saying, when you cool and you move around, you can be like, you fucking around, I'm just gonna move you to the side. It's annoying, but I'm not finna like do anything. But when you already over pressured and everything, like anything like a fuckery, like, oh what, you ain't text me, you ain't communicate to me at this time every day, you fuck around and waited 3 hours, I'm done with you, you blocked, you're done. So when you're hungry, you're not you.
You're not yourself when you're hungry. Eat a Snickers.
And you got so much pressure on you, as a single mom or a single father, whatever it may be, and we act in ways that may not be beneficial to us in the long run. So hopefully enough of those combinations of stuff happen, which I feel like is happening now. Some of the people are recognizing that like how their parents were, or how their mom or how their dad was growing up, wasn't beneficial, and they're trying to go a different route. And to those people, I say salute. But there's a lot of other people too who just perpetuating it down and down. And I'm hoping if it skipped you, hopefully your kids will be able to course correct.
I hope so, because I want our kids to have somebody to be able to marry. The other thought process, or the other thing that was coming up for me as you were speaking, is like, yeah, maybe these people don't get it right, but that doesn't stop them from reproducing. So then they create kids.
They're the ones who do reproduce.
Yeah, and if their kids don't get it right, and my kid marries your kid, I'm pissed.
Yeah, I don't want my kid to be trying to marry a toxic person, somebody who just got no kind of real home training. Like, bro, I'm telling you, we might need to bring back.
Say it, babe.
I can say it?
Yeah.
Yo, I think we need to bring back disowning.
No, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
Hey, I
thought you were going to say we need to bring back arranged marriages, because that's what I was thinking. No. I need my kid to make sure that my bloodline goes the right way. And one of the ways that I can make sure that happens, we need to vet this other family that you finna be marrying into what kind of things were happening in that household. I'm trying to save you from a life of discomfort and unease, because this boy ain't have no home training, or he wasn't raised to be able to, or girl wasn't raised to be able to care for you. Like,
that's real.
Not have an interdependent relationship with people in their life, doesn't know emotional closeness, and you grew up. I mean, if you want to be a teacher, baby, go ahead. Go ahead. It's your life.
You be a teacher, but it can't be your primary source of. That can't be your only source of income, my boy.
No,
or girl.
I'm saying, like, if you want to take on the role as a teacher and nurturer in your relationship, and allow this person, allow your relationship to be the space where this person grows and blooms and blossoms, great. I just wouldn't choose that for you. So arranged marriage.
Okay, so when you say arranged marriage, I'm thinking like the old timey, like, you show up one day and be like, hey, your wife or your husband has been arranged. You ain't got no choice in the matter. Show up here at this date. You're married. You good. I like the vetting part, and I agree with that. And I feel like as a logical consequence of the vetting, as ergo, you bring such and such home. We do our vetting and we like, yeah, no, we don't approve of this right here. These are the reasons. Here's the 5-page dissertation, 20-page dissertation of why this is not going to work for you long term. I know you like him now, or you like her now. I know y'all having fun right now, but unless X, Y, and Z changes, it's not going to work out for you. And I'm not trying to have my grandkids, my bloodline being fucked up because of this shit right here. Mm-hmm. And then it'd be up to that kid to be like, okay, good points were made. Let me do what I need to do to make sure that shit align. Or they be like, fuck what you heard. I'm doing this anyway. If you do that, you take my name off your name. Take my name off your name. You can reapply. Your kid can reapply if they do right. I think we need to. That's what I said. So I feel like our methods can coexist. They can merge. We vet. Hopefully we raise our kids to the point where like we don't really need to do too much. Like vetting is we're just doing this because of procedure. You know, we just got to do it. I trust my kid to be able to choose wisely, and it won't be no problem. And in which case, marry who you want. But if it's not true and you bringing fuckery around the Vasquez household, we gonna tell you bringing fuckery around this household.
Gotta go.
And what needs to happen to shoe. And if you choose the shoe with the shoe, take my name off your name.
Damn, that's crazy.
We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to do it because I'm just looking at how the other folks do it, and they don't play that shit. Like who really about it, like the ones who are like well-to-do, like upper middle class plus, where we trying to be, where most people claim to want to be. That's how they move. They don't play that shit. I'm not trying to be on some Queen Elizabeth like, oh, if they brown, we can't fuck with them type shit, or if they not brown, we can't fuck with them, or on some like Wild Alicia. We just like, no, we just need you to be able. We just need y'all to be able to be secure financially. Like no one's being abused in no wild way. Y'all have a healthy relationship. I don't give a damn like what gender, what race there is. As long as you happy and everything that lines up, do what you do. But if that's not cool, why would I approve of that? Mm-hmm. If I see that you're suffering, why would I approve? That makes no fucking sense. Idea. Like why would you do that? That doesn't no. What kind of parent would I be if I would look at fuckery and be like, no, son,
no. Well, we've turned this first plate into a full episode.
I'm not mad
and I'm not mad at either. You see me closing this laptop, or maybe you don't, but I did close it. The things have been said, and we can final food for thought this thing if you feel ready.
Final food for thought. Shit, I ain't got nothing. I was like, final food was always like, man, like, what are we valuing in our relationships? And not only what are we valuing, where are we getting these values from? You know what I'm saying? Like, to your point, like you want to, you need your partner to be X, Y, and Z. Why? Like, why? Like, if you can't make an 8-year-old understand why this is important, that's not for real. Like, what do you call it? It's the Evil Overlord's Handbook, and it's a bunch of rules, maxims that like if a evil person will follow each one of these, you're invincible. You can't be stopped by the hero. And one of those was like, keep a 5-year-old on deck to explain your plans to, and if you can poke a hole in that shit, don't do it. And I think that can be used in this episode. Like everything you say you want in a woman, if you can't distill the essence of that down to make it understood by the regular average person in a conversation, I encourage you to reevaluate or do more research or whatever you need to do in order to, until you can be able to explain it. Because it doesn't make any sense. It's like, yeah, I want this. Why do you want it? I don't know. I just do. That who are you convincing? So, yeah.
I think that's a good one. I mean, to that point, the thing that makes the most sense for me in terms of a final food for thought is we have to be self-aware of what has occurred in our lives, in our family history, in our experience, in our family of origin, to know why we're doing the things that we're doing. Because if you're just acting out past patterns, you're just acting out what you've seen and you haven't evaluated it or taken any corrective steps to change that which doesn't agree with the thing that you say that you want, you're not going to be happy. You're going to be one of those people who fucks around and finds out. You're going to hit the brick wall because you haven't done any of the work. And the other final food for thought is you don't have all the time in the world. Forget a biological clock, which I know is usually when some people, women specifically, are like, oh shit, I gotta find somebody, gotta do something. Disregard.
That's when mistakes are made, really. When you're under pressure and you feel like you got a time clock, you take anything, most likely.
Yeah, that is very true. So don't use that as the metric for when you need to start getting your life together or when you need to start working on these things. Because I will tell you that they don't get fixed overnight, and you don't fix 100% of it anyway, right? Like you don't show up to your relationship 100% at 100% in terms of being healed and healthy. Well,
the healed part,
and
hopefully healthy.
But the healed part, I think there's still some things that you're going to uncover about yourself as a result of your relationship that you'll still have to. There we go. That's a good word. You should be functional. You should be functional, and you should still be in the active process of discovering more, because your learning doesn't stop. Like, that's a quality of having a good relationship and a long-term relationship, is being interested and invested in continuing to learn and to grow. But you have to start that process for yourself. You don't walk into something and be like, okay, let's start figuring it out, boo.
Yeah, no one is going to unlock that part of you. No. Like, you got to come in like with that already unlocked, open and ready to begin that process, because it is a process that you hopefully will go into together. All right,
we're praying for y'all.
Yeah, we good? All right, well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Buffet Podcast with Brandan and Ciandra, where we give you endless food for thought. And if you're still with us right now and you haven't hit the like and the subscribe button, what are you doing? Hit that like and subscribe button, please. If you have any questions.
You were feeling us.
Yeah, right? We thought you was feeling us. We don't think you're a bunch. We think you're like a real person. Like, come on now. Don't play. Like, if you have any questions, you have any comments about this, feel free to leave them down below. You know what I'm saying? Shoot us a DM, email. Just shoot us a DM and just leave a comment down below. Any last thoughts? Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.